get started now, and then we'll just go based on the questions that I also sent you.
Great.
I'm speaking with Brian Field from ShopperTrack today. He is a Senior Director of Advisory Services. So basically what that means is that he helps retailers strategize and figure out how to best utilize traffic in their stores to improve their business. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hi, Darius. It's great to be here.
Great. Did I explain your role correctly?
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, what I do is I was a retailer for 40 years myself before coming aboard with ShopperTrack, and I spend all my time working directly with our clients to look at their business and help them drive revenue and improve their bottom line profit through the lens of traffic.
Okay, great. So ShopperTrack is basically a traffic measurement and analytics company. Is that correct?
Sure, yeah. We're the leading provider of consumer behavior insights and location-based analytics. We've got globally over 2,100 retailers and property management organizations in over 100 countries and territories around the world.
All right, so in that aspect, you provide hardware and software and services, or can you go into what exactly are the products?
Sure. So in terms of the products, the heart of our offering is our Orbit devices, which is our counting devices. It's a stereoscopic dual lens device, and it accurately counts foot traffic within a given threshold. So if you think about that, when you're walking into a store and right at the entranceway threshold, you look right up, you might see a little box in the ceiling. It's got the dual lens device there, and it's counting people as they're walking in and counting people as they're uniquely walking out. And it gives retailers an idea of their opportunity for driving revenue. And we have a team here in Chicago, Illinois, that configures the devices remotely and is continually monitoring them for accuracy. We will set up different counting zones so that when they walk in and they walk out, we have a very clear view. It's not just somebody popping their head in the door and saying, "Whoops, this isn't the place I wanted to go to," and then walking back out. It's a very fine-tuned system, and so that's kind of the beginning of the offerings that we have.
Okay. We have the Orbit, and I'm assuming from what you explained, this is a connected device, basically, right? It connects to the Wi-Fi network, or?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay. So then you have the products, and then there's a associated software with that as well?
Well, it's all proprietary within the system. It's a fully turnkey solution. What we do is we put up the counters, we install them, we design the solution that best fits our customers, and I want to just go off on a slight tangent with that, because it's not just the exterior with a perimeter device, but we also have interior devices that are Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and video based that can also help with understanding the traffic that's going on inside the store. And we connect all of these up, and we pull the data directly from that information and pull it back to our cloud to be able to gather the intelligence and to be able to report back to the retailers on how their business is doing from a traffic perspective. We also have a reporting platform that they can utilize to be able to visualize their data, and not just the traffic data, but things like sales ratios, things like labor allocation information, and anything related to both the sale and to how their associates engage with their clients, with their customers.
So how does that information actually get to your system?
It's through our internet connections. What we do is we pull that data back actually, we can either pull it in real time or we pull it back on a daily basis, and then we store it within our data systems, and then they can use our interface for the reporting, or we can interface with our customers directly through their systems as well.
Okay, so you basically have to have some kind of a connection, communication, for example, with the POS system or the accounting software to pull the sales data and match that with the camera, right? And the counts.
Yes, that's correct. We work with them. We've got a model that we use, and we can configure directly with their models to be able to pull their data from their workforce management solution if they have one, or from whatever type of a labor collection information system that they've got, plus their point of sale data.
Okay. So can you walk me through a typical engagement from the beginning through the end? Sure.
So what we do is we will meet with prospective client to talk about what their needs are, because it's not just simply let's give you traffic data and let you as a retail client figure out what to do with it. We want to be able to answer the questions that a retailer may have. For example, is there an opportunity to better engage with my customers as they're in the store? I understand what my transactions are like, but I don't really understand what my full opportunity is for the store, from an idea of how many people come into my store. Maybe I've got an issue where I want to make sure that particular areas of the store are fully merchandised and are attractive to customers. I want to find out what the pass-by rate is for that area. So different retailers have different needs, and we want to be able to assess what those needs are.
So the first step is an assessment.
Correct.
Okay.
And then once we do that, we design a solution for them, and then we work with their team and our internal team that does the installations, and we manage the project. We complete the installation. We do configuration work. We test the information to make sure that the counts are accurate, and we're continually monitoring that information. Once we've actually engaged with a customer, we also have a great team here of engagement managers, and they have retail experience. And what their assignment is to do is to help the retailers through the change management process of incorporating traffic as a metric into their organization, and to make sure that they know how to use our tools correctly, how to use any reporting that we provide for them through our reporting platform, and they basically are there at the retailer's disposal to help them understand what traffic does for them. We also have a learning management system, and that consists of a bunch of courses that their store management teams can take, or their district management teams can take, in order to feel more comfortable with the information about what does traffic do for them, and how to best utilize it within the context of their stores, to be able to make better decisions.
Okay, so your specific role within this cycle is that the solution design and assessment part, or?
No, actually, it's a more of an added value service. So let's say you have traffic, or you're about to get traffic, and you want to be able to understand even more of the context. What my team and I will do is we will work directly with the retailer on specific projects or ongoing projects. So a couple examples I'd give you is labor optimization. And for labor optimization, what we want to be able to do is to help retailers figure out the right fit of labor hours to the traffic that they see, in order to both contribute profit dollars and to be able to maximize revenues. Another thing that we'll do is an assessment of each individual store, and we'll come up with peer groups for the stores to be able to say this store performs like another store, and therefore they should be grouped together and come up with opportunities that would help them to be able to do better goal setting. And let me explain that a little better than what I did. For a typical retailer, they may have stores that are in a mall. They may have stores that also are on a street front or in a strip center, or could be in like an open air lifestyle center or an outlet center. And each individual store has its own unique DNA. And as a result of that, and that DNA, by the way, could be anything from its setting, whether it's urban, suburban, or rural. It could be where the competitive set is for those stores. Maybe they've got competitors right within their center, or they've got them a mile away, or they may have them many miles away. And as a result of that, customers shop uniquely different in each of those locations. And what we do on my team is we will analyze that information, and we will come up with highly correlated groupings of stores and come up with individual goals based on what we see each store's unique opportunity being, based on those groupings and based on what type of traffic they should anticipate within each location.
Okay, sure. So, I mean, that sounds something that would require a lot of data.
Oh, absolutely. And the type of information we have our own data sources. And in addition to that, we would work with the retailer's data set, whether it's things like transactional information, unit sales, dollar sales, sales by product category, the labor hours that they utilize in a store, the tenure of the store itself or the tenure of the associates, plus all of the data that we have, which is more statistical, sociodemographic information, census information, and then a ton of information about individual centers and shopping areas, both nationally and internationally.
Okay.
And we will marry all of that together. We've got a team of data scientists that work with us, and we come up with the right fit of store information so that we can help a retailer improve their business.
Okay, sounds very interesting. So your team typically gets involved after a customer has gone live?
Yes, but we're also kind of tool agnostic on our team. If a customer already is using a different solution for traffic, we can certainly get started with them right away. But the optimal goal would be to get involved once they have some level of history of traffic, whether it's something that they've contracted with us for, or if they have an existing traffic solution.
Okay.
And in addition to that, we also have a team of field trainers that will go out and engage with clients to help to be able to ramp up their ability to adapt to change as quickly as possible. And that would also be a project that we could work with them on. So if you think about it, you've got a series of stores that you've opened up. Traffic may be new to them. These teams of leaders will go out. They're well-seasoned retailers, and they help to speed up the process of adoption.
Right. I think that's critical. Traditionally, a lot of especially enterprise technology engagements, is really heavily slanted on the implementation of the tool, and then not much put on the actual usage of it. And that's where I've seen a lot of misalignment, where you go through 2 years of implementation, for example, or months, and then you haven't prepared your teams ahead of time enough so that they can be successful using it, and then continuing to do that.
Exactly. And if you think in terms of the retail equation is probably the best way to describe it. Traffic is a piece of that puzzle, but it's a very important link to how you end up with your sales. So if you kind of work your way down from it, you start with sales, and sales consists of a count of transactions multiplied by an average transaction size. And if you kind of go down the track of average transaction size, that's made up of an average unit retail and how many units per transaction a customer purchases. And the transaction count is made up of basically taking the count of traffic and multiplying it by your conversion rate. Right. If you take that average unit retail, units per transaction, or if you want to just call it average transaction or average basket size, and multiply that by conversion rate, that's something that we call sales per shopper. And what that indicates is the success rate of the associates within the store in terms of their effectiveness of their service, if that makes sense to you.
Yes. So, I mean, there are definitely, a lot of these metrics that retailers have to measure, right? And keep track of. Right. So that's one of them. That's an important one. Then there is another one that everybody talks about, is like sales per square foot, for example.
Sure. So sales per square foot is helping you to determine from a store perspective, are you maximizing the value of the amount of square footage that you have for a store. For example, if you've got a big box store, 20,000 square foot, 40,000 square foot, you've got a lot more revenue you have to drive to be able to pay for that store versus a very small square footage store, under 5,000 square foot. For us, what we're trying to do is to help them evaluate what's going on inside that store to determine if that store is actually effective in its ability to provide service and in order to take care of the customer and drive revenue. So there's actually one other metric that I'd throw out at you, which we call shopper to associate ratio, which is taking that total traffic count and dividing it by the labor hours that the store is utilizing. And that's giving you an idea of what your intention is for providing service. So on the one hand, you've got that shopper to associate ratio, also called STAR, and that's about the intent of the service. And on the other hand, you've got sales per shopper, which is the effectiveness of the service.
Right. So what is a good shopper per associate rate?
You know what, Darius, I get that question all the time, and the answer is it depends.
Oh boy.
Let's put it more broadly for you. So if you think about a mall, it's usually a very large area of land. It's got a ton of traffic that's generally going through it. And it may be a little bit more socially involved. People are shopping in groups. There's a lot of different retailers within that center that are fighting for the same wallet share of the customer. And that's just a huge traffic footprint. On the other hand, you've got a strip center store, and that strip center store may just have a couple companion stores right near it, and it may not have stores that are within the same competitive set. For example, it may be a specialty women's apparel store, and a bank, and a pizza store, and an ice cream store. So it may well be that store has significantly less traffic, but there are different customer expectations of service. Go back to the mall store where it's highly trafficked. You might end up with a very high shopper to associate ratio. So making it up, it could be that you've got a 20-to-1, meaning 20 shoppers for every one associate hour. And that might be okay because of the level of service may not be expected to be as high in that mall location. Now go back to this other location that's in the strip center, It may well be that you've got something like a 4-to-1 customer to associate ratio, shopper to associate ratio. And that would mean, again, that for every 4 shoppers that come in the store, there's 1 associate. But they're expecting a higher level of service. They probably will spend more time in that store, and they're there clearly on a purchasing mission.
Right, right. So that concept of time also is very interesting. You know, we measure that so carefully online. It also is very important in the store. The longer a customer spends in the store, the higher the chance that they're going to buy something, right?
Well, sure. And what we've certainly got tools that will help to measure that. One of the metrics that we use is something called dwell time, which is the amount of time a shopper may spend in particular in a store. And you're right, there does tend to be a math to it that says that the longer a customer spends, the more likely they are to walk out with a purchase. But what you really want to be able to understand from dwell time is it resulting in a quality sale for you? And this goes back to the whole sales per shopper notion. Some customers will browse forever and pick up one small item and make a purchase. Others will spend more time and just really build up that basket. And you know, if you consider, for example, a fashion retailer that has fitting rooms in their store where the customers are going back and they're trying on goods, you may actually want to understand the unique difference of dwell time for customers that spend time in that fitting area versus customers that are just browsing in the racks and then make a purchase and leave. Because I would suspect that you'll find that there's an even higher conversion rate and an even higher average basket size for those that are spending a bunch of time in the fitting area.
Right. No, this is all really fascinating. I think I'm already thinking about like a follow-up conversation after this one, because this is really, I mean, really valuable, very important information. And so one last thing, you know, quickly, if I was asking you, what is the biggest change are you seeing in how the mobile shopping and the internet is affecting the retail business in general?
Yeah. So, Darius, it's a great question, and what I would say is that the customer that is utilizing multi-channels, whether you want to call it omni-channel or just the mobile channel or the web or what have you, they're still going into the stores for a very specific reason, and they use that channel for a very specific reason. And a lot of that goes back to the fact that you have an associate right there to be able to take care of you. If I'm going to shop online or I'm going to shop from my phone, it's more likely that what I'm going to be doing is self-directed, maybe doing my research, but it doesn't replace that I need to go into a store and I may have to get that tactile feel, whether it's looking at the product I want to purchase, touching it, or interacting with it. But it's also about customer engagement. I read some statistics recently that are showing that even the millennial generations are still coming into the stores for 85% of their purchases, and it's because they want to be able to have that interaction directly with an associate. And being able to understand something like that shopper to associate ratio, and then going into how you're staffing your store, whether it's more of a specialty focus where they're doing a lot of interaction with the customers and spending time engaging with them, or even if it's something where you're having a little bit less engagement but more based on just stocking the shelves and flow of goods. There's a critical reason why the customers are coming to you in brick and mortar.
Right. Right. So that's very important. Thank you for that. I think it's great to get that point of view. Well, we are out of time for today. Thank you so much. I'm sure that we'll follow up and see if we can do other conversations to do the more. Thank you very much, Brian.
Absolutely, Darius. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.